Hello everyone, thank you for joining me today. I'm Lee from thecraftyspark.co.uk and today we are going to make a centrepiece for a Christmas table. Now, first thing you're going to need, as well as your scoreboard, is some black cardstock. Now, this card measures 11.5 by 11.5. Okay, and this is going to be our base tray for our centrepiece. All right, so score in it with your score tool in your hand. Score your first one at 3/4. Yeah, 1.25. Let's think there. 2, 2.5. Go to the other side and score at 9, 9.5, 10.25, and 10.75. So you've got 3/4, half, 3/4, half. Turn your card and do it again. So 3/4, 1.25, 2, 2.5. Straight up to the other end, score at 9, 9.5, 10.25, and 10.75. Now, before you actually take your cardstock off, going back to that end, go in by another 3/4, so that's going to be to the 3.25 mark, and just do a score line, but just down to the second horizontal score line. Okay, and then same at the other end, go in by another 3/4, so that takes you to 8.25, and then just go down just to that second score line. Turn your card right the way around, so go around 180 degrees and do the same thing again. So across to 3.25 and just a score line down to that second horizontal line, and then in 3/4 again that way. So now we're at 8.25 and go down just to that second line. All right, now let's move that out the way. Oops, nearly dropped the scoreboard then. Grab your scissors and we're going to start cutting. Now, this little line that's gone down to the second score line, we're going to cut straight down that one, but then we're going to go at a diagonal across to that third one. Okay, so down to the second one, across to the third one, and then nearly did it a bit too far, come back, scissors, and then straight down again to your fourth one. All right, so let's do it again. We go down to the second, diagonal across to the third, down to the fourth. Same on the other end. Down to the second, diagonal across to the third, straight down to the fourth, down to the second, diagonal to the third, down to the fourth. Okay, now ordinarily we would be going straight across and straight across, but one of my Stampin' Up buddies, Leslie, she sent me an email recently and said, I've tried making one of those, but I've left the little tabs on, which when she showed me looked really, really good, because what it actually did was it created a much neater corner. So that's what I'm going to show you how to do today. So with your scissors and your flappy bit going up in the air, go across. So actually, let's go from this side, make it a bit easier to explain. So from the edge, 1 score line, 2 score line, 3 score lines, and cut straight down until you get to your 4th score line going that way. All right, oops. Did you see that big card just go flying across the room then? That was weird. And then get your scissors and still cutting. We're going to go just down to that third line And we're also going to cut that little tab off there. So can you see I've left a little tab just there? All right, that's what we're going for. So we're going to do the same on this side. So we're going to cut straight down till we get to that third score line in, and then we're going to go across to take out the corner, and then we're just going to cut that bit off to create our tab. All right, see, just there. Okay, so we go down to the third. Just to be awkward, I've done it round the other way, haven't I? I've still created a tab though. Sorry. I'll do it the right way again this time. So, straight the way, down, and across. Might have to neaten that bit up in a minute. And then snip the end off. Okay, so that's all our little tabs done. Now I'm just going to notch those little tabs in just to make them nice and neat as I'm folding them up. Comes that stuck to my scissors then. It's not magnetic paper, honest. It's just normal card. I suppose if you wanted to get really jazzy, you could actually do a magnetic one, and then it would stand totally in the wrong way, wouldn't it? You could stick it to the fridge or something. That could be good. I'm just going to trim that up because I haven't cut that very well at all there. In fact, I'd say that's probably one of the worst cuts I think I've ever done in my life. Never mind. Can't be perfect all the time, can we, everybody? Where was I? A little notch there, a little notch there, and same over this side. That's it. Right, now we can start folding and burnishing all our lines. So all the way around, just fold them over, give them a nice squish with your bone folder so you get a nice sharp fold all the way. Whoop. There's quite a few to get burnishing, isn't there? But it's quite fun actually. I must admit, being a bit of a saddo, I really like scoring lines and burnishing them. It touches my inner OCD, I think. I think that might be what's doing it. I'm not really sure because I do enjoy it. Right, I'm just folding over these little tabs. There we go. Straighten that out. And then I'm going to use some sticky strip now. And I'm going to put it along that edge there because this is going to be folded in like that, and we need to make sure that it stays nicely stuck. So I'm going to be using some nice strong double-sided tape all the way round, just in tight to that line, because I want to make sure that when I put my flowers in, I don't end up with a saggy base or a saggy bottom. Because let's face it, most of us older ladies, mind you I'm not that old, I'm only in my 40s, but most of us do have saggy bottoms. Seems to go with the territory of crafting, really. Mind you, saying that, I also know some incredibly thick crafting ladies. Like you, Linda, down in Australia. I don't know if you're going to watch this one. I know you've watched a couple of mine. I do like Linda. She's very funny. She just made me laugh. Right, there we go. Turn over, and with a narrower one, this time just cut some off, and we're just going to be sticking it onto, actually let's do this thing because I can see what I'm doing this thing, can't I? I'm just going to pop it along that diagonal there. Alright, and I'm going to do that on all 4 of my corners. Right the way along. Where's that end gone? There it is. Oops. There we go, and lost it again. Look. Last one. There. Now, first of all, before we start pulling these bits off, we're going to be doing these straight ones. All right. So take off the double-sided tape, but don't get rid of this bit. We're going to use that bit in a minute, funnily enough. Fold your flappy bit, fold it in half, and then in half again. So you're folding it in on itself, push it down, and then pull it back and push it down again, and you have a very neat ledge, which I hope you can see. Do the same on the other side, but again, keeping that bit. Fold it over, fold it in again, try not to get your fingers stuck. Whoopsie daisy. Fold it in again. Now, this is where the magic comes in, and this is something that I learned from Amanda Bates at the Crafts Bar. What she said to do was, with these little bits here, take off the tape, whoops, like that, and then with your bigger bits, and this is where it gets really clever, if you cut them so that you've actually got tabs, and put those back inside like that. All right, that's why we kept those other bits. Probably didn't need to keep both bits, but it depends how wide your tape is that you're using, you see. If you was only using this narrow one all the way around, you'd probably need to keep all of them, but because I've used the thick one on the outside, I'm okay. But pop them on like that, okay, and then just push those back out so they're out of the way for a minute. We're going to do one end at a time. So we take our tape off. Now this one's not going to be as easy to fold over and squish down because we've already got these in the way. All right, so you need to sort of fold it over, try and line it up, and then pull it back on yourself. So I'll show you what I mean. Fold it over, and then over again. Well, push it down, but then pull it back on itself like that. All right, because that way you'll make sure you're not actually ruining your lovely, whoop, don't stick yet. I didn't say you could stick yet. Hang on. I stuck that bit in there and it shouldn't be stuck. Get off. That's it. Phew, that was close. Watch your sticky bits in the corner, otherwise you'll do what I just did. So take that off of there. Ah, that's why I've gone across a bit too far. Fold it over, trying not to stick your fingers together, trying not to stick those outside edges. Ah, there we are. That's it. That's better. I've done it. And stick it down firm. Okay. Now, this is the clever bit. Whoa, this is where I get all bit fingers and thumbs on me again. We're going to fold that up and at the same time tuck in the tab. It is a bit tricky, but it does make a much neater finish. Now you need to do both ends at the same time because once you've done one, it's very hard to get the other one if you haven't done it. All right, so we've put that one in, and then we're going to pull that corner together like so, and then just pull out the tab and stick it down. Ta-da! Isn't that clever? I was so impressed with myself for the first time I'd done this. I thought it was a brilliant idea. So, oops, why isn't that one going in? Oh, that's it. It just got caught there. So you hold it in, push the tab in, hold it so you've got that nice tight corner, and then just pull out your tab, stick it down. Yay! Let's do the other end, which like I said, you should have put them in first. Never mind. Oh, that one's screwed up a little bit. Right, make sure you've got your tabs in before you do your corners, otherwise you end up like that. So let me show you again. So we've got a nice tight corner, she says. Hang on. That's it, that's better. Nice tight corner. Pull out your tab, stick it down. And then on this one, this is why you're supposed to put all your tabs in first, you see. Because, can you see, that one's stuck out a little bit. That's better. Let's just tuck it in properly. Nice tight corner. Pull out your tab. And then stick it down. There. Oh, I've bent it. Whoopsie daisy. Oh, that's all right. That looks fine. Okay, so that is our starting point. This is going to be our base tray to begin with. Now let me move these out. I've got another piece of basic black cardstock, and this measures 11 5/8 by 11 5/8. I'm going to bring my scoreboard back in. Oops, is that in the right place? Yeah, there we go. And I'm going to score at increments of 1/2 inch all over the place. Near enough all over the place. So we're going to do the first score line at 1/2 inch, then 1 inch, then 1 1/2, and then 2. And then the same from actually I was just about saying the same from the other end going the other way, but because it's 11 5/8 it's going to be a bit messy trying to work out the numbers as I'm going back. So I'm just going to turn and then do the same again. So I think that'll make things a bit easier if we just do it that way, because the whole point of doing it is that we've got a narrow edge going on the outside. So this is going to be sort of the outer frame, if you like, to the centerpiece. And then we're also, whoops, oh dear, that was a bit of a squiffy line. It's a good job that's going to be cut off that bit, isn't it? Sorry, what was I saying? Oh yeah, we're also needing to allow a small gap to go around the edge so that the actual outer piece can go into place. It'll all make sense, I promise. Right, so the last one, last side, 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1 1/2, and 2. And then don't forget, you've got to go in a further 1/2 inch and just drop it down, score down to that second line. All right, I'm just going to move this over so I'm at the 10, my line's on the 10-inch point now. It's only so it makes it easy for me to work out where I'm going, but just down to that second line, remember. Turn it round so you're on the opposite end and do the same thing again. So just down to your second line, and again on the other side, just down to your second line. Okay, right, let's move the scoreboard out the way. Whoop. Drop it on the floor even, whatever you like. You can move it out the way, you can drop it on the floor, and I've just moved the mat as well. Should we get it in the centre? There you go, that's a bit better, isn't it? Right, grab your scissors and then we're going to start cutting. So remember how we do it? We go cut down to the second line, then we go diagonal across to the third, down again to the fourth, down the second, down to the second line, diagonal across to the third, down to the fourth. Same on the other end, down to the second line, whoopsie daisy, cross to the third, down to the fourth, down to the second, diagonal to the third, straight down to the fourth. All right, and then we can just cut out those pieces there on the corner that we don't need. So exactly the same as before. The only difference really is this time I haven't put the tabs in because well, because I forgot actually. If I'm really honest, I totally forgot to put the tabs in. If you want to put your tabs in, you put your tabs in. Whatever you want to do. Me, I'm just going to be a bit of a div and forget my tabs. Never mind, it works both ways, and it works really well both ways, so it doesn't matter. Right, I'm just trying to find my foam folder. There it is, it's in my pot. Right, so we need to fold and burnish all of our lines now, so that we can get it nicely sorted. I probably do need to burnish the other end of my fold as well, don't I? Not just the one end. There we go. Let's do the other end as well. Right, all the way around. Keep it going. Whoopsie daisy. There we are. So, whoops. Crikey. Let's fold that one over as well. Right, and then our last one, all the way there. Now I just need to try and get that bit out because that's the bit where I sort of muddled on my score line. Yeah, hopefully that won't show too much and we'll be all right. Right, so grab your tape or your glue or whatever it is you're going to use. As usual, I have a variety of sizes because I do like to have lots of different sizes. Where's the end gone? There it is. Come out. That's it. Right, so let's put this tape along our edges so that we can get that really nice tight finish. And then we're also, if you remember, we're going to put it on the diagonals as well, but for the diagonals I'm definitely going to use a thinner tape. Now, as I've said before in my previous videos, I learned how to do this from Amanda Bates, who is another Stampin' Up demonstrator, and she does some beautiful cards on her website. And last year it was I think, if I remember rightly, her son's 16th birthday. And she made this lovely card. Sorry, that bit's quite important because that's what I'm just about to tell you about. She made this lovely card using a box frame, just like this, for his 16th birthday. And she actually put a really nice border around the edge and explained how to do the mitering around the edge on the border so that it would look really good. Because if you've got these nice mitered corners that you've done on your edges here, the last thing you want is to cover these strips with some designer series paper or some other kind of scrapbooking paper and not have these really nice corners going again. So she shows on her blog how she did it. Well, this year she's actually done it slightly differently. So I would very much recommend you go and have a look at the card she's done this year, because it's not for her son. I think she said it's for her son's friend, if I remember rightly. Yeah, I'm sure she said it was for her son's friend. But like I say, she has done it a little bit differently. So pop over and have a look. Just at, I've got to think, what's her website now? It's the Craft Spa. That's right, because mine's very, very similar to hers. So just have a look. If you just Google Amanda Bates, the Craft Spa, because I can't remember the exact address. I think it's the Craft Spa at blogspot.co.uk, but I might be wrong there. So have a look anyway. But the one she's done, like I say, the one she's done this year is for a 17th birthday card. And it does look really, really effective the way she's done it. Right, let's get back to this one then. So let's peel these strips off, and remember, keep your edges to begin with. We're just going to fold that over, tuck it in, stick it down. There we go, that's that one. And let's take this one out as well. I probably don't need to keep so much of these backing things at the moment, but what, or why not? What difference does it make? I'm going to put them in there anyway. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoops, it's stuck on my hands. Right, let's just peel that off and put the little tab in. And oh, get off my fingers. Oh, this stuff is so static. Just sticking to everything. There we go. Let's put that one on as well. Now I'm hoping, really hoping that there isn't flicker on this film. I keep checking it and I haven't seen any, but in saying that, when I was watching the last bit back from when we did this part, I noticed there was a fair bit of flickering going on, so I'm really sorry about that. I hope it doesn't spoil it for you. It's because over here in the UK at the moment it is incredibly dull and cloudy, and in my craft room I've actually got this anti-reflective solar film on my windows because we actually face directly into the sun come around about, what time does it hit the back of the house? I think it's, oh gosh, look what I've done there. See, this is what happens when you don't concentrate. You end up making a mess. There we go, that's it. Yeah, it hits the back of the house at around about 11:30, and it stays there right the way through until sunset. So, as you can probably imagine, my craft room gets very hot in the summer. Hence, the anti-reflective stuff has been put on my windows. But it also means that it does block out quite a lot of light, unfortunately, so it does make it a little bit dull in here sometimes. So I've got daylight bulbs in, which are really good for working, but they do cause a bit of flicker on the videos because I video on my iPhone, and I think it's got something to do with the frame rate. I'm not entirely sure, but whatever it is, it causes a bit of flicker sometimes, so I do apologise, everybody. Same as I apologise for having red ink on my hands because I was doing something else earlier, but never mind. Right, so remember how to do your corners. You just pull those corners in, pull your tab out, stick it down. All right, so make sure you've pulled it in nice and tight before you pull your tab out, and then just stick it down. All right, so this is now, let's move that out of the way. Whoops, stuck on my hand again. This is now the outer base for the inner base. Now you might think, bit of a waste of time, don't really need to be doing that. Well, all right, maybe not, but you wait and see, because it really does help to set it off really well. All right, so trust me. Now our next thing we're going to be doing is making this outer that I keep talking about. And what I've done is I've actually drawn up a template for you, because where we're going to be using 2 of the frames, I'm forgetting my words again, where we're using 2 of the frames, the actual marking up and drawing can be really difficult. Or not difficult, that's the wrong word, isn't it? Complicated, that's what I was trying to get at. It can be really complicated. So I've drawn up this template, which is also going to be on my website. So don't worry if you can't see it very well at the moment, or I'm flicking my hands over and it's annoying you. It will be very clear on the website, all right? Now this measures It measures 5¼ by 7⅛. All right, so 7⅛, 5¾ okay. Now this dotted line is your score line, so you need to score in 1/2 inch from the edge, and then you need to mark these panels, all right, and then cut out those squares, okay, because, and I've already done these because otherwise I will be here for ages, and I'm hoping you can see them nicely. Oh my goodness, I just crashed into this floorboard. Let me stand up and have a look. There we go, because I want to make sure you can see them. Oh look, there's my light. One of the lights anyway. What I've done is I've scored in 1/2 inch, and then I have stuck 2 frames on the back, straight to the back, all right. Can you see? So I actually use the holes to center my frames, and then with another 2 frames I've actually backed them in window sheets. So I've just cut a piece of window sheet, put it onto the back there, and that piece of window sheet, where's my ruler gone, measured, because I can tell you what it measured. It measured 2½ inches by 3¼ all right, so 2½ by 3¼ and I've just stuck those on. So I've only stuck those on one side, on one frame rather. So you've got a window and a window, just a frame and just a frame, all right. And this has now created one of the sides that's going to be going into that base that we've just made up, all right. Now we need to stick them together because you will actually need 4 of them, all right, and we need to make sure we're sticking them around the wrong way, because when I started doing this earlier I thought, oh, I'll stick them all together as well, and I started lining them up and I had one up one way and one up the other way, and oh my dear, did I get into a muddle. So make sure you've got your frames up the right way. And I would suggest, I mean, you don't have to do this if you don't want to, this is entirely up to you, but I would suggest you stick them together in one long line. Yes, it's going to be a long line, but believe me, it's going to be much more useful doing it this way, as I will show you when we do the outer bit. Right, so let's pop some glue down that edge, and then we need to line it up nicely and stick it down. Now in theory your windows are going to be exactly the same height all the way round. You might find that there is a very, very slight difference. Don't worry, because there's going to be so much more going on, it's really not going to be noticeable, all right. So don't think, oh my goodness, I'm all around the wrong way and it's ruined and oh, I don't like it. It'll be fine, honestly. Now on the inside your frame is going to just slightly overlap, so just use something like a pokey tool, like I'm doing, just to flick those ends out, all right. And then, can you still see that? I don't think you could see that then, could you? This bit here, this, how close can I get and stay in focus on, do you see? This bit here was just caught underneath that flap, so I've just flicked it out using my pokey tool. Okay, now put this one on as well. Again, make sure you line up your edges nicely and just stick it down. You obviously need to have it in a straight line. I should have said that actually, shouldn't I? Now I use my grid paper for doing that. If you don't have grid paper, why not? It's the first thing, because it's really, really useful. But you can always use a ruler and just make sure it's nice and straight. Otherwise you're going to find that when you put it into your frame, it's going to be a little bit wibbly wobbly, which is not what we want to be going for. Right, so I've got those two, just need to do this one. Now I've toyed with the idea of how to decorate the outer side of this, and I'm going to put my one, I'm just going to put some gold sequin trim. I won't do it now though, but the pictures that you'll see on my blog will have the gold sequin trim on. I'm just going to sort of put it as a bit of a swaggered kind of shape. Oh, that one's gone right over. See what I mean about sometimes it doesn't line up? Let's just pull that out just a smidge. Oh, is it going to go? Have I let it stick there too hard? Just about. I might have to go in with a knife afterwards and just trim off that edge. It doesn't always work out spot on first time. It's just you just have to keep trying and see where you get to. You see that matches up quite nicely there. So I think what I've done is I obviously put that window just a little bit too far over. In fact, I'll tell you what, I'm going to slice it now, because if I leave it until I've put it all together, it's going to be really tricky, isn't it? So just bear with me a second while I just slice that off. I suppose what I could have done is actually cut my cardstock a little bit narrower, but I find that if those edges are too narrow, it's very, very difficult to get the score line in properly, and I didn't want to mess that up. There we are. That's it. That's better, isn't it? Let's just put the lid back on that before I stab myself. There we go. That wouldn't be a nice thing to be seeing on camera, would it? Hey, come watch my video. I've cut myself as well. No, don't be doing things like that. Right, let's just stick this down here. So we've now made our complete outer. Make sure it's nice and straight, like I said. Try and keep it as straight as you can. And if you bend it each way, it will just make sure that it will sit nicely. And because of the way this is made, you can actually store it like this as well. So if you want to keep it for next year, or if you need to send it somewhere, you can do it by taking it apart, which is another reason why I've made it this way, so that all your hard work can be kept and you don't end up in that horrible situation where you've got nowhere to put it and it just gets shoved in a drawer and ruined. And no, can't be doing that. Right, so these are our outsides. Now when I cut my window frames, whoops, sorry, I'm just trying to grab a hold of these, which were 2, 4, 6, 8, so 16 of these frames I cut. Yeah, I know it's a lot, but I also cut 16 of the ledges as well. Now these ledges are sort of designed to go well anywhere, I suppose. Actually, that could go there, couldn't it? Yeah, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use them to finish the top. Now obviously they're not going to fit properly because of the length that they measure, but I thought if we put like that, so one either side, and then pop one in the middle, how about that? Does that look all right? Oh, I think that looks quite nice, doesn't it? Not so sure though. I might come back to that in a minute. But when you cut your frames, cut your ledges as well, because, well, you're running it through the die cutting machine. You may as well run the whole lot through the die cutting machine. Okay, let's bring our bases back in. So we actually have the two squares, and we have, whoops, our big base, our big frame. Now we are going to slot that, whoops, into the larger frame rather. So that's going to sit just inside. Now you can see, I'm sure, it's bulging a bit. Can you see that? don't worry, because when we put the next one in, the inner one, that is going to push it all out and you've got your perfect square. Right, but that is the outside of our lantern. So the only thing left to do with that, really, like I say, is if you want to decorate the edges, then put your decorations on. But what I'm going to show you now is how we're going to do our lights to go in the centre. Look, did you see how easy that came apart? Isn't that? That's just really good. I'm really impressed with that. Now, for the centre, we are going to be making these. So we've got a little light, whoops, that goes on the bottom, and that is going to be sitting in the centre of our centrepiece. So let me show you how we're going to do them.